So today we're going to be looking at a little more complex type of problems when it comes to solving systems by elimination. So what we said was you're still going to have your two equations that make up your system, and what you're looking for are two two variables that are opposite from each other, direct opposites. So like on number one, if you remember when we worked this out, we noticed that we had a positive y and a negative y. Those would cancel each other out. And then we just added the two equations together and solved it. So what we're going to look at today are equations where you don't have an exact opposite. You have to change one equation or the other or both in order to make them have a variable that will cancel out. So, for instance, let's look at number two. And we are on, let's see, page 112 of your workbook. Okay, so if you look at number two, we have negative 2x and negative 2x. They are not opposites. They are both negative. So in order for them to be opposites, remember one needs to be positive and one needs to be negative. So let's look at the y's. I have a negative 5y and a positive y. They're still not exact opposites, even though one's negative and one's positive. The fact that this one has a 5 in front of it and this one doesn't, they're not exact opposites. So what we need to do is we need to change one of these equations, or both, to create an opposite. Okay, so let's think about this. If we look at the y's, I have negative 5y. The opposite of a negative 5y would be a positive 5y. So if I could change this second equation so that this had a plus 5y, then I would get those to cancel out. So here's what you do. Remember, there is a pretend 1 in front of there. So to get that 1 to a 5, we need to multiply it by 5. But you can't just multiply this one piece by 5. You have to multiply the entire equation by 5. So here's what happens. My top equation is going to stay exactly the same. But my bottom equation, remember, it's like you're using the distributive property. You're taking this 5 times absolutely everything inside. So 5 times negative 2x would be negative 10x. 5 times 1y would just be a positive 5y. And 5 times 16 is 80. So now that we have that, as you can see, in my equations I have a negative 5y and a positive 5y. Those are going to cancel. And remember, you add the two equations together. So negative 2x plus a negative 10x would give you negative 12x. And then negative 8 plus 80 would give you a positive 72. And then to get that x by itself, we're going to divide by negative 12. And you get x to equal negative 6. So that gives you your x value. We still need to find the y value. Now you could plug this negative 6 into any one of these equations that you want. Does not matter which one. Since this equation right here just had a y with it, that's probably going to be the easiest one for you to do. So I'm going to take that, negative 2x, but instead of the x, I'm going to put a negative 6 plus y equals 16. Well, negative 2 times negative 6 would give you a positive 12. And then to get that y by itself, we're going to subtract 12 on each side. So y equals 4. And remember, we want our answers as an ordered pair, x and then y. So your point is -6, 4. So all we did was first we noticed that there was nothing that was going to cancel out. There were no opposites. So we changed one of the equations so that it would create an opposite that we could get rid of. Okay, so let's look at number 3. We have 8x minus 9y equals 7. 2x minus 3y equals -5. So again, as I look at this, there are no opposites at all. Okay, I know I could do, let's see, I have a positive 8x here. If I could create a negative 8x down here, that would work, which I could do. I have a negative 9y. If I could make this a positive 9y and get that to cancel, I could do that as well. It's really up to you which way you go about it, whatever you think would be easier. Let's say for this one I'm going to change the x. Let's say I want to make this 2x a negative 8x so that it will cancel out with this one. Well, to get from 2 to a -8, you have to multiply by a -4. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. My first equation will not need to change at all. But my second equation would become -4 times 2x is -8x. -4 times a -3y would give me a positive 12y, because a negative and a negative make positive. And then a -4 times a -5 would give me a positive 20. And then again, we just add these two equations together. 8x, -8x will cancel. -9y plus 12y will give you 3y. And 7 plus 20 is 27. Divide by 3, so you get y equals 9. So that's y. Now we just need to find x. And again, it doesn't matter which equation you plug it into. You'll get the same answer either way. So let's say we put it into the top. We have 8x minus 9y, but instead of the y, I'm going to put 9 equals 7. This becomes 8x minus 81 equals 7. We need to add 81 to each side. You get 8x equals 88, and then divide by 8, so x equals 11. So whenever you go to write your ordered pair, we will have 11, 9. And there's your answer. The last one we're going to look at is number 4. Number 4. We have -5x plus 3y equals -6, and 9x minus 4y equals 1. So as I'm looking at it, there are no opposites as it is. Let's see. 5 won't go into 9. 9 won't go into 5 evenly. 3 won't go into 4. 4 won't go into 3. So what's going to happen on this one is you're actually going to have to change both equations to get something that will cancel out. So let's say I take the 3 and the 4. Well, I know 3 and 4 will both go into 12. So if I could make this a positive 12y and this a negative 12y, I can get them to cancel. So let's figure out what we need to do in order to make that happen. Well, if I want this to turn into a positive 12y, to get from 3 to 12, I have to multiply by 4. So if we do that, 4 times -5x would give me -20x. 4 times 3y would give me 12y. And 4 times -6 would give me -24. So there's the first one. Okay, and again on the second one, we're wanting to create a -12y. So to get from -4 to -12, we just multiply by 3. So 3 times 9x is 27x. 3 times -4y is -12y. And 3 times 1 is 3. And then again, all we do is add them together. So -20x plus 27x is 7x. Positive 12y, negative 12y cancel each other out. -24 plus 3 is a -21. Divide by 7, you get x equals -3. And then we still need our y, so remember, doesn't matter which equation you plug it into. Let's say I do the bottom one here. We have 9x, well, x was -3, so I'm just going to replace it. Minus 4y equals 1. 9 times a -3 is -27. Minus 4y equals 1. I want to get rid of this -27, so I'm going to add 27 to each side. We have -4y equals 28. And then we divide by -4. And you get y equals -7. So whenever we go to write the ordered pair, you're going to get -3, -7. Okay? So again, if we had two equations that did not give us a direct opposite that would cancel each other out, we could create one by changing one of the equations or both of them to create something that would cancel each other out.